welcome to the Gamers Table. It is Monday, and we're reviewing the Manhattan Project. It has a lot more of the douchebaggery factor, though, than you see in, the average run of Euro game. I mean, direct. And if you're in the mood for that, it can be a fun game. If you're not in the mood for that, maybe not so much.
Your objective, you score points by building, testing, and loading nuclear bombs. The first nation to reach the victory point goal becomes the world's dominant superpower and wins the game. The victory point goal depends on the number of players. The Manhattan Project it's a fun game, but it's designed to be douchebaggery. You have to attack other people. You can't just let them go along their merry way, mine their yellow cake, get their uranium, build a nuclear bomb. It's nuclear bombs. You can't just let them do that.
You have the main board, and you have your individual player boards, Now, there will be a bunch of different factories up here that you can buy. These factories go on your player board, and you can place one worker on the main board, and as many as you want on your own stuff, as many as they will take every turn. So this one, they're very much individual. You can choose which ones to buy and which ones to get. Sometimes somebody buys all the bombers and fighters and then starts attacking everybody else's areas, forcing us to change our game and go into the espionage and just keep screwing him over so he doesn't win. Somebody bombs your factories again because you haven't managed to be able to buy any fighters to deter them. So they bomb everything on your board. Now nothing you have works, and you're going to have to go to the repair center, but you haven't got the money for that. So first you're going to have to raise the money. So basically somebody has wasted 3 or 4 of your turns before you can get back into production. And by the time you get back into production, well, they can bomb you back into the Stone Age again. And on top of that, once they've bombed you, they can bomb you further and damage it worse. So it's going to take even more repair to get rid of it. Seriously? There's a lot of conflict in this game.
Well, the first time we played this, everyone was nice. There was no douchebaggery happening. I was like, that's all right. But this game needs douchebaggery. So next game we played, I vowed to be the douchebagger. And I did a good job at it.
The douchebagger.
And then the game after that, I vowed all I was going to do the whole game is just shut Chris down so he couldn't be the douchebagger.
Yeah, once somebody gets ahead in the military, the planes and fighters, they're going to beat you down and you're not going to be able to do anything. They start encroaching on your board and using your buildings and stuff like that, and then you get shut out of everything. And unless you get onto the espionage board yourself occasionally or occupy the airstrike area so they can't use it, you're not going to get anywhere.
It's the smallest violin in the world for you.
It's fun to knock people back and, screw around with them and that. But if you're not actually winning the game, you're just drawing it out. That's really not helping and you're just being a boob. Not mentioning anyone in particular, but that's usually the way it goes in games with player interaction. Yeah, I'm going to knock you down, get ahead, and you're not going to be able to catch
more fighters,
up.
that's all.
If you keep going and destroying them all the time, what do we fight back with? Because whatever you knock down, it's going to knock me down too.
Well, that's the thing. In order to destroy one of your fighters, I lose one of my fighters, so it's equal. So whoever produces
and if you're ahead, you're going to stay ahead all the time unless we can get more fighters. And then if you keep
until you blow up our factories and we can't produce any fighters.
Exactly.
Well, maybe you should have thought of that.
Before we let you blow up our factories. Jeez, Chris, come on.
Come on.
Anyway, you have 3 different types of workers. You have scientists that are going to help you build the bombs. You have engineers that are going to help you build a lot of the factories and stuff
and
for
build
cheaper.
Bombs too.
And you have the general peons that do anything that you need. Just, hey, Joe Lackey, go over there and flick that switch for me. Okay, boss.
One good thing about the engineers, too, is the first 2 spaces of the building track, if you take either one of those things there, you get it for free.
If you use an engineer.
If you use an engineer, that's about that.
And there's also a lot of the areas require you to put money into the little ashtray here. It's like the slush fund, the bribery. If you take the cheapest building, you get that. Because, well, you got a really cheap building, you couldn't afford anything. Here, have a little bit extra, boy. Catch up.
It's to encourage the track of the buildings to actually move down. Because obviously the building that no one really cares about is going to get all the way to the end.
And it is possible to get a bunch of buildings out in a row that nobody can afford or really needs at that moment. And then, okay, great. We're not buying anything. The track's not moving anywhere. Might as well take the cheap stuff and get the track moving. Yeah.
You got to attack. You got to stomp them. You got to destroy their buildings. You got to use the espionage and use their buildings. They got a good building. Well, I'm going to use it and stop them from using it.
Wrapping up for the Manhattan Project.
I give the Manhattan Project a 7.5. I would have liked it a little bit more. There just doesn't seem to be as much to it. The douchebaggery is essential in this game. Otherwise, it ends too quick. And whoever ends up with the best enrichment plants or mines will obviously win. So, I mean, if you're not the guy with the good mines, but you got all these fighters and bombers, use them.
I'm going to give this one a Manhattan Project 7. Yeah, this game can be played just as like a solitaire, competition, just who can manage the resources the best. But that's a short, boring game. You're not interacting and you're not playing the game to its fullest. But you get the douchebaggery going. You play the espionage or the airstrikes and stuff like that. It can draw the game out a lot longer, but it can also be more enjoyable at the same time. If everyone does it, if you don't let one person do it all the time, you really need to balance the game out. If you're just constantly attacking, you're not building your bombs to win. If you're just building bombs and you're not knocking other people down, then, well, if they let you build those bombs, that's their fault. They're not attacking you. They should be. If you're getting that far ahead, they should be knocking you back. But the douchebaggery really works in this game. It plays out pretty well. I like all the options that you've got in it. The only thing I don't like about a lot of these types of games is the random draw at the start, the buildings. You might get nothing but uranium and plutonium at the start of the game.
Which are useless to you.
Yeah, at the start of the game, that's pretty much useless to you. You want to get workers. You want to get your engineers and your scientists and stuff like that out. And your yellow cake. That stuff will allow you to build the bombs and the uranium and all that stuff.
I give the Manhattan Project a 7. Building bombs in the late 30s, early 40s, the Manhattan Project, before dropping bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That's what it's about.
Late 30s?
Late 30s, early 40s.
40s, yeah.
Late 30s, early 40s. 39 is when the war started, Chowderhead.
Yeah, but they didn't have nuclear bombs.
They were already. They were all planning. They were planning, man.
Okay, fine. You have.
I'll nuke you.
I'll airstrike you.
So the theme is there, and it's basically you're competing different teams of scientists trying to be the first ones to make the bomb. So you're messing with the other guys because you don't want them to get the glory and the government grants. Easy to play? Yeah, it's a worker placement game. And the icons are very clear and easy to understand, so you just put your guy down there and do what the picture shows you. And fun to play? Even with the douchebaggery factor in there that I'm not a big fan of in this game, yeah, it is fairly fun to play. And if you have to take it on yourself to be the sheriff in town and stop the douchebag from doing anything, well, that can be fun too, as you just stymie him at every turn.
The Manhattan Project is quite a good game. Not perfect, but most games aren't. I do enjoy it, although the douchebaggery can get out of hand at times. People can get too carried away with it and not work on actually winning the game.
That's it
Yes!
for this episode of the Gamers Table. Tune in next week for another game review of another game.
Close the door. Close the door. Leave me alone. Well, manhandle. Wait.
Oh, and since they're not opening up the door yet, I figured Craig gave me a cool nickname, and I like it. He called me Captain Douchebaggery. Works for me.
That's one small step for man,